Hey, how's it going, everyone? Backstage in WWE here, John Fisher and Brad Shepard, and what was quite an eventful week with a lot more negative aspects to it than positive. And I don't think we really have to address what took place in Parkland, Florida. And I think it's safe to say we can offer our condolences to everyone affected. And it wasn't just the people that were there, but even not just the entire country, but the entire world watched what took place, and even the wrestling family was affected. Brad, I didn't even know this. You can go into it, but I was as soon as you sent me what we were going to talk about today, I couldn't believe it. I didn't know that X-Pac was affected by this.
Yeah, so apparently the daughter of Sean's mother's niece was one of the 17 victims. She was only 14 at the time. So it's got to be very upsetting for him and, frankly, for everyone involved and for everybody not involved as well.
Yeah. No, there's no doubt about that. Wow. It's always very different, not knowing anyone that's affected by it. But then when you do, and we don't know X-Pac as a friend or an acquaintance, but we know, we've followed his career. Even on another note, Anthony Rizzo went to that high school, and he spoke at one of the vigils yesterday down there. And yeah, it was quite the event, to say the least, in a very tragic way. And yeah, we offer our prayers to everybody. We hope everyone gets through it. However, wrestling was good this week. On a much lighter note, we saw a stringed instrument being performed by the Monster Among Men. We got to see Vince sign one of the worst contracts that he's ever signed. And we watched another cruiserweight get released from the company. So what a week! What a week it's been.
Yeah, it's been an interesting week. What do you think about the John Cena storyline of him not having a spot at WrestleMania?
Well, I think it's different. It at least gives you some mystery, because as far as we know right now, his match with Undertaker is not set or confirmed. And we also do not know if he's filming a movie. I don't think there's be any way. He's wrestling house shows right now. He's not going to miss WrestleMania. We know that. Everyone knows that. But to not know what he's going to do, I kind of find it intriguing. I want to see where it goes.
I mean, come on. He said in his promo that something about taking people out of the dead, or something to that effect.
No.
Yeah, I guess if you were, maybe 5 years old, you wouldn't understand what that meant. But the average viewer of Raw is like over 40. So yeah.
You're right. I'm Trey. Trust me. I as soon as I heard him say, and the quote was, "Even WrestleMania can wake up a dead legends."
Yeah.
Obviously.
I mean, are we supposed to believe that John Cena, the face of the company, is not going to have a match at WrestleMania? Is that really believable?
I think it's believable to the fact that we know he's going to be there. We just don't know what angle it's going to be. That's fair to say. So there's two ways you can look at that. You can look at it the most logical way is, he meant the Undertaker. He's dead. He said his promo at Raw 25 talking about how many people he's beat, and then he just left, right? I think that if there was going to be a match, there would have been an angle for that. But there wasn't. He didn't do anything. So why isn't Cena talking about himself? Saying, because what if he's referring to himself as a dead legend? Maybe that was him saying maybe he doesn't have it anymore. We've seen that Cena before, but that's when he was a consistent figure on television. Outside of these last 3 weeks, we haven't seen him in months because he's off doing television or movies, or he's being Hollywood John right now, or at least he was back then. Right now, he's not. Why would he wrestle house shows if he wasn't preparing for something big? You don't need to prepare for months for the Elimination Chamber. You do a few spots and you go home, right? And unless you're one of the younger guys, he's not going to be taking a spot off the top of the cage. He doesn't have to.
Yeah, I mean, he'll start. That should pick up after Elimination Chamber, his angle with the Undertaker.
What if it's not? He wasn't even supposed to wrestle the Undertaker until Samoa Joe got hurt. So
no, that's not true. That's actually not true. That's not true at all.
So that was never going to be a match.
Well, it was, but that was going to be a match to hold him off until WrestleMania, until his Undertaker match. I mean, you have to understand that the Undertaker thing is, that's something that they've wanted for a while, and this is something that they've talked about for months. But the Samoa Joe thing was going to be a mini feud to get them through to WrestleMania, where then he would have his feud with the Undertaker. And that's all it was, and that's.
Okay.
That was the plan. It's always been, if Undertaker can go, then, he would be the opponent.
Then explain to me, I'm obviously not saying that you're wrong. Explain to me why this kind of rivalry would take so long to get started, but then it only gets like 1 month of hype. Usually Undertaker feuds got 3 to 4 months. But now we're only giving it a month. Do they
not recently? He's been showing up in like a month before WrestleMania. In the most recent WrestleManias,
even Roman. I thought Roman was at least 2 months.
Well, he made a Royal Rumble appearance, but he wasn't consistently appearing on the show at all by any means.
Oh, I'm not saying that. I'm just talking about starting his program 2 to 3 months before. He doesn't have to show up until 3 weeks before the show. If you remember, against Bray. This is kind of like counter argument to my own argument. He didn't show up until that night. Bray literally carried the rivalry by himself until that night.
Yeah, they're trying to part of it is the Undertaker is not going to show up, and he's not going to be at a lot of tapings, but they're trying to kind of hoodwink fans too. They want to leave that unpredictability in some of the matches.
Isn't that good now?
Some of the matches. Well, it's fine. It's like, that's good. But of course, everybody who, reads wrestling articles on the internet, listens to our podcast, where I talked about this quite some time ago. They're all going to know what's going on. And it's fine. Sometimes that predictability is good. And in this case, it's fine. So we'll see what happens.
I love unpredictability, and even just the element of surprise. I do. I'll never get over that. So I like where this is going. I just hope it, the 1 week before, Cena just goes and says, well, I got nothing to do. And then the gong hits. Like, okay, that was kind of corny and lame. I hope they do it a little bit better once they actually get it going. But I know that at least that is a good derivative of what Raw should be, aside from like Kurt Angle having terrible promos. Some of them are kind of funny. The 50-50 booking that's going on,
Kurt Angle doesn't even know the name of the pay-per-view. He doesn't even know the name of the Elimination Chamber, which, is the main event match. It's the name of the pay-per-view. I don't know if it's, too many blows to the head, or I don't know what it is, but, you got to stop scripting so much stuff for this guy. He just can't fucking remember it.
Mick Foley couldn't either. But you have to remember that Angle and Foley are two of the best promo guys ever. I'm not afraid to admit that. I thought Angle was so good on the microphone. So Mick Foley too.
Yeah. Angle in his WWE prime was very entertaining on a promo.
Do they just not trust him? Maybe that's it.
They don't trust any. Everything is so scripted. And I just don't. I don't understand it, but I do understand it. I know what they're doing, but gosh, man, when you've got a guy like that, you've got to let him go.
So let's get into trusting people. These writers I can't trust anymore. Gallows and Anderson and the Revival, two of the best tag teams on the planet, are just in a back and forth of obscurity.
Yeah, it's like four different matches with 50-50 booking results, and it's like, yeah, sure, it's filling TV time with a match nobody cares about, but who benefits from this?
Nobody.
Nobody.
Well, no. Road Dogg did say it isn't about how you get there. It's about, this is a true statement. I think he tweeted it to you. It's not about how you get there. It's about how it finishes and the story that it tells at the end. Cool. So let's do this. Let's have CM Punk and Mickey Gall fight 9 times, and they each trade wins back and forth. But that 10th time is going to be a doozy, and it's going to be the best fight. It'll main event UFC 2 2010 or 229.
Distraction finish.
yeah. Paul Heyman from out of the back distracts Mickey Gall's corner, and I don't know, but it's so, oh gosh, it's so bad. I sat to myself once, just saying again. I didn't want to see the match again, and what's funny is these two teams can put on a very good tag team match if they were given the time, the story, awful. It was just awful. I don't know what to do about it.
I have to tell you this, and I could not believe that someone actually said this.
Oh no!
Someone told me, and this is real. This is not made up.
This is a shoot.
This is a shoot, brother. That they believe Asuka could beat Ronda Rousey in a fight.
Who's they?
It's some person on the internet.
Oh, well.
I don't know who they are, but they literally believe. I mean, this is not a joke. They were not joking, and they want to, Asuka. It's she trained in something or another. I mean, Jesus Christ, these people are these people, and it's just very few people are working themselves into such a shoot over fake fights and Asuka being booked strongly that they actually believe she could beat Ronda Rousey in a shoot fight.
Well,
I mean, I have to believe these people still believe in Santa Claus.
The East. Well, they also believe that Hulk Hogan could actually shoot fight, which we all know could never happen. Or
I don't know. It was a pretty good shoot fight on Gawker he put down. That was a pretty good smackdown.
Oh my gosh. A real fight with fists flying. No, this is just like Nikki Bella and who else? Naomi, all of them saying that Ronda Rousey stole their moment after the Women's Royal Rumble. No one would give a flying ass something. So, I don't know. Think of anything. A flying F. No one could give a flying F if the Women's Royal Rumble just happened and then it ended the show. And Stephanie comes out, the leader of the Women's Evolution. When did that change, by the way? Women's Evolution, and they all cheer and hug and kiss each other, and it's all great.
Forget they cry. They always cry.
Yes, they cried, and then the show just ends. No, we get a global superstar with much more appeal than any of them combined.
Mainstream appeal.
Yeah. Movie star. She's not a good actress, but movie star. Female, was a featherweight? Bantamweight. Female bantamweight champion, multi-time, was arguably the most polarizing women's athlete in the world. And she comes in and does a spot at the Rumble and she signs a contract. Of course people are going to care. Do you think people clicked on Asuka winning it or Ronda Rousey showing up more? I don't have to tell you the answer to let you people know.
Well, the sad part about that is, John, that, I think the hardcore fans are really gonna, in large, reject Ronda Rousey.
Good, she's
and
they're
kind of like, well, I mean, not like in a heel heat way, but in a like, go away, we don't want you here way. And that's like, that's where like these hardcore fans are just hurting the product because, that something like a Ronda Rousey helps the product. It gives it more mainstream appeal, and when wrestling has more mainstream appeal, they can make more money, and that means the wrestlers make more money. That makes everybody happy. So, you should want that to prosper. But man, they're just kind of like, their own worst enemy sometimes. I can see it now. I can see she's not going to get the positive reaction they expect. That's my prediction.
She's signing her contract at the Chamber, so we'll see what happens. Meanwhile, and I think you can agree with me on this, we may have seen the best segment of Raw in years. Braun Strowman and Elias battling back and forth in a war of singing words. Braun with a bass, Elias with his guitar. Holy crap, how entertaining that was. And before I even get to you, I bet you hated it. I bet you really did.
Is that it?
That's it. That's it. I bet you hated it.
No, I actually thought it was the best part of the show.
Ah, thank goodness. I was hoping.
Like
I was
people,
hoping.
okay, so I mean, there's certain things Braun has done that I'm not a big fan of. Like, you've got your character-based social media account, and you're taking pictures with Roman during your feud, and you're doing an elf movie, and I mean, it's all a show. It's not like the biggest deal in the world. It's just kind of annoying. But this, I don't understand people have a problem with this. Like, The Rock could go out there and do, a singing and guitar performance for 20 minutes and be charismatic and be fun, and be goofy and silly and entertaining, and then go out there and kick ass. I mean, this is no different. Like, I had no problem with it at all. I thought it was entertaining.
Did you see? I predict that Elias will be a world champion in 2019. Is that so far off?
Unfortunately, I think so.
I think his star status just pops out every single time.
Oh, I agree. I mean, he's probably, I've said this. I mean, he's arguably the best character on WWE TV. And he's a guy who could go mainstream if presented right. But, I mean, I just don't think they're going to give him the ball. I don't. I would love to be proven wrong on that, though.
And then Braun, I mean, they're giving him a character, more so than just a big guy that breaks big things and beats up small guys.
Although that's very entertaining.
You know what? Okay, I was gonna save it, but I have to get into it now. Dean, because I forgot about him last week, and because I think it's a good segue, talked about you.
Oh, jeez.
In his segment. And because of that comment you made, it rings true to what we were talking about. So, I know this is kind of abrupt, but here's Dean with this because I said so segment. The last one, and he'll get into why. But Brad, I think you're going to like this.
Relegated to the end of the show with no commentary, despite my expert analysis in taking WWE to task for not having the WWE Championship be in the main event at WrestleMania every year. But I heard a couple of things Brad said afterwards about my analysis of Baron Corbin, especially how it would probably be WWE's dream to put him in a match with Kevin Nash. Brad, you said you would like to see that match? Even with both in their prime? Did it escape you that I said it would have to be a match where the first person to do 6 legitimate wrestling moves would win? Well, there's a reason for that. And I'm sitting here trying to figure out why you like vanilla giants like Baron Corbin, but then I found out you're 6'6". Well, of course you'd like the big guys then, but man, at least pick one with personality like Braun Strowman, who, by the way, hit a home run on Raw this past week. Now, big men aside, sorry, Brad, I have one more point to address with WWE on the negative side, and it's them trying to control the fans. They keep Baron Corbin out of an event because it's his hometown and he'll be cheered. They keep Ty Dillinger out of events because they don't like the 10 chants. They reword introductions because they don't want the crowd shouting one fall. Really? To quote The Miz, unless you want to silence that too, WWE. Really? 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 But yeah, Vince listens to the fans. And for goodness sake, where was all this attention to and annoyance with the what chants that started in the early 2000s and still perforate our eardrums today with the most annoying fan chant ever? Vince, it's not up to you to control the fans' reactions. And frankly, this is why your product is on the verge of suck most of the time. You want people to cheer for Roman, and they don't want to. You want them to cheer for Batista, they wanted Daniel Bryan. You cannot manufacture fan response, and quite frankly, Vince, you never could. The fans decided they wanted Hulkamania. They also decided when they didn't want it anymore. The fans decided they did not want Lex Luger, but you shoved the Lex Express down their throats. Dude, you did not create Austin 316, or can you smell what The Rock is cooking? They did, and the fans embraced it, and that is how stars are created, organically. Look at Braun. It'll happen with him too, if you let it. Hear the chance for get these hands? Or are you going to soon tire of that and find a way to eliminate it too in favor of getting Roman over yet again? And that's the last Bottom line, because I said so, because next week in this very podcast, I will set out on a mission to counter the negativity forged by so many, including myself, in rants like tonight's. It's time for a change. It's time for a new day. It's time for me to bring you the power of positivity next week, right here.
That may have been his best segment of all time. What do you think?
Yeah. I think that's a low bar, but
you're just mad he called you out.
Hey, look, I absolutely give me a Kevin Nash and Baron Corbin in their prime feud any day. Book it.
What's the stip? That's how I texted you. There has to be a stip.
No, there doesn't. They just have to be two of them in a ring. Are you kidding?
Please. Please. Well, no, I really do agree with him. I think it's easier to be negative than it is to be positive, for sure. And I don't think I have to tell anyone that. I think it's very known. I like what they do. I enjoy a lot of the product. Braun and Elias, to me, have been the best by far on the show. But, there has to be more. It's a lot of it is just like Cole's commentary of just alone. But they need more stuff like the 5-way and more innovative ideas like adding like the pin with Balor and Rollins. I thought that was creative. There has to be more of that.
It was. That was, we talk about leaving the fans with a hook to watch next week. But then they totally blow it.
Yeah, that's true.
They give you this double pin and, okay, who won the match? Who's going to the Elimination Chamber? And then they go on, I think it was social media, just a short time later, and say, "Oh, they're both in the match." Why the hell would that be decided next week? So you have to watch.
Well, that should have been the open to next week, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's how I would have done it. Oh yeah, you have what is it? You have Seth come out all pissed off, says, "I deserve that chance," and then you have Finn come out and say, "I deserve that chance." Whatever. I'm not Irish. And then Kurt has to come out and stumble his way. Like, you know what? Fine. You both are in it. Like, welcome to your own personal hell because it's Elimination Chamber. You want to sell the danger of it. They missed an opportunity, but I still really enjoyed the finish. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, before we get to SmackDown, which there really isn't a lot to talk about there, was Cole talking about Sheamus as one of the most underrated superstars. What is his description of underrated? Because I'd love to know that.
Yeah, I would too. I mean, the guy's won like every title, but I think the Intercontinental title, is that it? Yeah, he's won every title but that in the company, and so I don't really know what that means. Underrated. The guy is like main evented WrestleMania, won a Rumble, squashed Daniel Bryan in 30 seconds for the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania. He beat John Cena for the WWE Championship in one of his first matches in a tables match.
Yep.
I mean, if he's underrated, I would love to know what overrated looks like.
Yeah, I would too. I think underrated is some guy like Kofi Kingston, Cody Rhodes, Wade Barrett, Xavier Woods. Underrated. I don't know. I think Cole is throwing in the towel because he also said that Jinder was never in a Royal Rumble match and he's been in 2 prior to the one this year. So I don't think he even knows what the hell he's talking about. By the way, I looked up Sheamus' stats. 3-time WWE champ, 1-time World Heavyweight champ, 2-time US champ, 4-time Raw Tag Team champ, King of the Ring winner, Money in the Bank winner, Royal Rumble winner.
Yeah. Like I said, everything but the Intercontinental Championship.
Yeah,
and
Hall
he's
of Famer, actually.
God.
If you want to go by their
fuck. Yeah, well, I mean, if Coco Beware can get in,
All right. On to after Raw was a pretty good show, to be quite honest. We go on to SmackDown. There's not much to talk about here.
Let's
Ziggler.
talk about Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah.
So he signs this new deal, which I first reported on bodyslam.net. And the specifics are a little, I would have to call bullshit on them.
You don't believe them?
No, I don't. Justin Barrasso of Sports Illustrated, a known perpetrator of fake news, has reported it's a 2-year, $1.5 million deal, and that Dolph Ziggler never really wanted to leave to begin with, which I know is false. So, I mean, that part is for sure false.
So let me interject. I don't think it was him wanting to leave. So he was on Edge and Christian's podcast about I'd say like a month before he took his hiatus on TV. It sounded like that he didn't not love wrestling anymore, but he just wanted more from the company in a booking manner, and if he wasn't going to get that, he was going to walk. So I guess technically he's not wrong, but it's at Sports Illustrated and ESPN both cover wrestling the same way, and it's terrible. So expect what you get. But go on. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, this is the same guy who went on the XFL call and, oh, Vince, you're so wonderful. You do such a great job promoting everything. I just wanted to let you know. And Linda, she's so wonderful, too, and so underrated. I'm sure you checked with her about this decision. No, not at all. I mean, so, yeah. Anyway. So Ziggler does beat Sami Zayn, and Baron Corbin beats Kevin Owens, and they both move on, and they copy the Raw idea.
Yep.
And so now there's another fatal 5-way.
For the title at Fastlane, right?
Yeah.
Or is it going to be on SmackDown?
Fastlane, and Corbin and Ziggler were both booked as baby faces in their matches, which was just
I'm sure you didn't
bizarre.
like that.
Well, I mean, I thought Baron did well. I mean, the ending sequence went over pretty good with the crowd, but it's just kind of like it's a mixed signal, right? These guys have been total heels for a while, and then you just kind of book them against heels and portray them as baby faces, and then maybe next week they're back to being heels again. We'll see. But
so Road Dogg booking.
Oh man, he's got to go to writing school. I mean, it's just the Road Dogg's dog shit booking is.
Oh my, yeah, that's hey, he might listen to this. You never know.
Well, I know there's one WWE social media employee who was following me. I mean, they're keeping an eye on my account on Twitter. We'll put it that way. But I'm not gonna, that doesn't mean I'm not going to be honest, right? I'm not some WWE shell. I'm not Sam Roberts doing an interview with Booker T. I'm going to keep it 100, keep it real.
Hey, so did Rich Swann, and he got released.
No, he couldn't handle this.
No,
we found out. But yeah, that I just think his booking. I think I heard Ryan Ward went to Raw.
He did. Oh, yeah. Oh, wait, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, that would explain it, but I don't. Anyway, it's the booking on SmackDown Live is it's really, really bad. It's bad. This top 10 list is the shits.
It is.
As I predicted it would be. I mean, you have Baron Corbin and Dolph Ziggler, neither in the top 10 getting an opportunity to wrestle two guys who are also not in the top 10.
Well, this is to get a chance at the titles, right?
Yeah.
Why are the champions in the list?
I don't know. I give up because there really is no logical explanation, and I'm not going to put a whole lot more thought into it than they clearly have. So I don't know. And then you've got like Randy Orton thrown in the U.S. Championship picture now, along with Jinder, and it's like,
has he ever won the U.S. title?
Orton?
Yeah,
he had to have, right?
I'm looking that up. I'm not sure. I don't think he has.
I mean, I just don't know. You know, I'm going to be very bored by a Bobby Roode and Randy Orton feud. And I certainly don't need another Randy Orton and Jinder Mahal feud. That's for damn sure.
No. Orton as a heel would be kind of cool. I loved him as a bad guy, so I would be down for that.
Oh, he's just, gosh, I don't know. The U.S. Championship is just boring with Bobby Roode.
I don't think they're letting Bobby Roode be the character that he can be.
It's just boring with Randy Orton added in, and
give it a chance. Hey, give it a chance, right? That's all we have to do.
Yeah,
and they're both good wrestlers. We'll see. They can be good characters. I'd give it a chance. So, you know what? Randy Orton has never won the title before.
Okay, so just the Intercontinental Championship.
Yeah, World Heavyweight, World Tag, WWE, Intercontinental, SmackDown Tag, Money in the Bank, Royal Rumble.
There you go. I guess I want him to win everything too. So I guess we should look for him to be U.S. champion. So how about that Mahabali Shera?
Who I've heard of him.
Megastar.
Was he?
No.
Oh, I've heard of him. Is he good?
He's terrible, but he did the Shera Shake, if you remember.
No. I've heard of it. I don't know what that is, though.
It's like the rocking the baby motion with the upper body. It's pretty terrible, but man, he did it with Dixie Carter once on TV, and it was a pretty good gif. I'll give you that. Not for for probably all the wrong reasons, but yeah. So they've signed him, and he. We'll see what happens. I mean, I don't know what the point is, but I guess we'll see.
Oh, I see it here. That's kind of funny. He looks like a Santino kind of character. Maybe he has that type of appeal.
He's a big guy. I mean, he's a big guy, and he's Indian, but the Indian market has failed. So, if they're just hiring because he's a good wrestler, that's fine. I don't think that's the case, but yeah, I don't really know what the draw is there. I mean, he's a big guy. He's a big, strong, athletic guy, and maybe they figure they can get something out of him that Impact Wrestling couldn't, which is entirely possible.
Maybe I don't think the Indian market's terrible. Jinder Mahal made sure the Patriots did not win the Super Bowl because Gronk hindered him. So I'd say
Mahal isn't even the biggest superstar in India. You know who is?
Great Khali. Still,
it's Roman Reigns. As far as WWE.
Oh, I thought you meant Indian wrestlers. Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's Roman Reigns.
Yeah, I had a conversation recently with a wrestling fan in India, and the one thing is, they don't necessarily have like the wrestling coverage that we do here. They may not, have it on TV to watch, for example, even, but they still treat like WWE as a shoot.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it's still thought of as kind of a shoot in India, according to the fan I spoke to. And so, they basically, like, John Cena was their favorite, and now Roman's the favorite. And why? It's because he's like the top guy who always wins. And so that's kind of how they view it. It's very interesting. But yeah, so
wow, that's I knew that he was the most popular. I didn't know they treated it as real.
Yeah, there are countries that do that. Like even Japan covers wrestling as a shoot.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Okay, so now that you're all excited for the Shera Shake, yeah,
Jeff Jarrett.
Okay,
Hall of Fame.
This rumor first started with Mike Johnson of PW Insider. And then Dave Meltzer addressed it, I was told, in I think his newsletter, Wrestling Observer newsletter.
Is he in rehab?
Well, he was, yeah. People backstage are talking about Jeff Jarrett in the Hall of Fame and blah, blah, blah. And then Johnson had to retract a bit, which is a frequent thing. Basically, there's an unofficial list of people who might go in, people that might be added. And we know, when I reported the original list in early November, there are always going to be like a couple of people added to that list later on, like last minute, sort of, closer to WrestleMania time.
Mm-hmm.
And Mark Henry it sounds like he's one of those based on what they're preparing for him behind the scenes. And, as far as Jeff Jarrett goes, I want to address it because I want to address the rumor, with what I've heard directly from a WWE source. In fact, the WWE source that gave me the Hall of Fame information to begin with, because that would tend to have a lot of credibility. So take it for what it's worth. I'm going to report that and let you decide. So the source tells me they don't want to outright say no, but they would be very surprised by this. So,
I mean, I would be too.
It's something probably, they say, who knows, but it sounds hazy. Sometimes, basically, they don't find out stuff until the fans do. But the point in all of this is this person who knew the Hall of Fame information and, provided that to me in November, does not have any information that Jeff Jarrett is on the Hall of Fame list for the class of 2018. I'm not saying that can't change. It's mid-February, but he's not on the list. He's not on the list right now, and hasn't been.
I don't think it's worth it right now. I just don't.
I think what Jarrett is doing, I'm trying to be careful how I explain this, but I think what because you can't say everything. Sometimes, like,
yeah,
when you have a source, you have to be careful what you report on, because there are certain things you say that could reveal too much information.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I'm trying to avoid. But yeah, I think Jeff Jarrett is probably doing some politicking to get into the Hall of Fame. He's one of the best natural workers of all time. But what I mean is like working people, not just like in ring, but like working people, a manipulator. And so I think that's what he's doing. We'll see what happens.
It is a fake Hall of Fame, I got to be honest.
It's a fake Hall of Fame that obviously he cares about. I mean,
I guess so.
But yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's a Hall of Fame about a product, a TV show centered around fake fights. I mean, it's really not that serious, but it obviously is for some people.
So a couple more quick things before we head off for the week. Ric Flair revealed his pick for the Modern Four Horsemen. Randy Orton, who we called the best wrestler today, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and Dolph Ziggler. I liked how he picked 2 out of 4 guys that are over the age of 35.
Well, he likes the young guys. They get them in early and build them up.
Yeah. Do you agree with that list?
I don't know.
I don't know who I would honestly put. Well, you need a tag. I would probably put the Revival as the tag, not just because they remind me of Arn and others, but they're old school, classic. They're really good heels. As far as like the Ric Flair, the big superstar, Seth is a good choice. I know you don't like him all that much. Well, not as much as I do. I think Seth is a good choice. And as far as, without trying to be too much like Evolution, I would say another. You could pick an NXT guy that would fit that role really well. I really can't think of a good fourth, but something like that. Seth, the Revival, and Wrestler A. It could be anybody.
Like Baron Corbin as a fourth.
No. Elias. That's who.
No.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, just who's your 4? Give me your 4.
I don't even know, man. I think the product has changed so much that it's hard to even say who a modern Four Horsemen would be because they were just such a unique animal. And look, like Seth Rollins he's just, kind of blah to me. He just has like this nasally voice, you like hold your nose and talk. And that's like what he sounds like. He's just no Ric Flair. Roman, like, I don't know how, I don't know. I mean, like, I just don't know from a modern standpoint who it could be.
I don't know. Yeah. So, and two more things. And we have the FDA that has now authorized the first blood test to aid with concussions. How will that help World Wrestling Entertainment specifically? What do you think?
Well, there's the obvious factor where you avoid unnecessary exposure to radiation, which is a health benefit. But I mean, I think this could give them a real accurate result and a real quick result. And, so I think that's ultimately the benefit. It's quick, it's accurate, and you don't have to get radiation, which, is very bad for you, can cause cancer. So,
do you think they will take it seriously?
I don't even know if they'll do it, but I don't know, man. I see all these guys getting rocked, getting these headshots where they, there's so many concussions, I think, that go still even today without proper diagnosis and treatment that I don't know. You will have to see. I mean, as far as pro sports, that would be very interesting as well.
It'd be a huge development for sure. And last but not least, Corey Graves and Booker T pretending everyone is an idiot. Booker T said in his podcast with Corey Graves last week that their whole feud was a work. You heard that right. It was all a joke. Ha ha, he he. It was all for fun. And they never actually had bad blood between the two. And now Booker T went on Sam Roberts' podcast to discuss it. Wow, are they dumb?
The only people who are dumb are the ones that continue to believe that it was actually a work the entire time. I mean, seriously, think about this. Would Vince ever allow these announcers to get themselves over like this and then have them like go out of their way on shows to talk about like how it was a work and they fooled everybody and there was no payoff and it you look at the history like Booker T he was clearly agitated. It's clearly a shoot that they turned into a work to try to squash the story. Period. End of story. Like that's it. This was not a work the entire time, and it's not even debatable. Like it's it's just amazing that the people who are so quick to buy into this, this land of make-believe stuff, like nothing is real. I don't know.
They think wrestling fans are stupid.
Yeah, well, sometimes they are.
Either way, I hope it just ends. I love Corey Graves. Booker T's kind of a nutcase. So I just want it all to end. Stop talking about it. Sam Roberts is also a part of the problem. I'm over it. I'm just over it.
Well, he's a WWE shill. Him and Rosenberg, of course, who paddles to Mark Henry when people don't like him. But
you don't want to hurt his feelings.
Yeah, you don't want to hurt his feelings. He's a sensitive guy. I don't know. I just, Sam Roberts is not, if you're going to guys like Justin Barrasso and Sam Roberts and Peter Rosenberg, and you're like expecting to get like real news and, good insight and, the truth, you're probably going to the wrong people.
That's where I go. I've donated to Sam Roberts' Patreon $2,000 to get off the air for good. All right. Well, that'll be it for us this week. It's a little bit shorter. We have things to do, people to see, and
yeah. Well, this was very much a John episode.
Absolutely. Wait, what do you mean?
You said it's a shorter episode.
Yes, because that's funny. It's very funny. At least my guys can get over by jumping over the tall wrestlers. No? Yeah, you like that. All right. Where can we find you on social media?
You can find me at the Brad Shepard, SHEPARD on Twitter. I'm the managing editor at bodyslam.net, and I'm now contributing for sports and entertainment website NoCoastBias.com. Very excited about that. You can find all of my journalistic work at thebradshepard.com.
That sounds good. I'm John Fisher TV on Twitter, Wrestling News Hub on Facebook. Every Wednesday at 3, I drop a new video on Facebook called Raw Thoughts. Professional look, amateur opinions. Well, that's subjective, but you get the deal. At least for some. Week 6, anything else to say?
No, not really. Have a good weekend if you're listening on Friday. And if you're not, then I guess have a good week. And make sure to check out bodyslam.net. We're posting some good MMA news and keeping up with the wrestling exclusives. So check us out.
Maybe I should say next week anything else to say without plugging yourself. I'll try to work on that.
Well, why would I do that?
I don't know. That's a good question. You asked them. You asked the fans if they want to hear that anymore. We'll see you all next week. Think about that. Ponder it all week long. Until then, we'll see you.